Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. My name is Femke from Fame to the Fiction on Instagram, and today I'm here with 19 books on my shelves that I want to read in 2019. So I have compiled a list of books that I already owned that I want to read in 2019. I have a lot of unread books on my shelves that I want to try to get through. Well, I guess there are a few that I probably won't ever read, probably, but there's a lot of books on my shelves that I do want to read, but I just keep reading other books first, and I want to try to not do that as much this year and try to pick books that I already have. So this stack that I have here of 19 books, these are only, I'm just going to be holding up first books by the way, but these books they're both kind of new releases that came out in the past year. There are also a lot of older books that came out like semi-recently, like in the last 7 to 5-ish years, but there's also some older books, and one of the oldest books on this list, I'm pretty sure it's just the oldest book, that's what I'm going to start with. And that book is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. There's absolutely no reason that I have not read this yet. I've had this on my shelves for forever, and like honestly there's no reason I haven't read it yet. I've loved the movies, recently rewatched them. Honestly, it's not too big, so I think I should be able to read this pretty soon. The only problem could be the language, the fact that it's older, but seeing as I read Middle English and Old English literature, this should not be a problem at all. The next book on this list is also by J.R.R. Tolkien, and that is, well, I'm just holding up the first one, Lord of the Rings, but I want to read the entire series, which is the case with a lot of books that I have here, but I'm just holding up the first ones, but it's like books and series I want to read this year. Again, there's no reason I have not read this. I own the Lord of the Rings in 3 different languages, mind you. 3. So there's bound to be a language I understand. I have, like I said, I have multiple copies. I love the movies. No reason I have not read this yet, so I want to change that this year. And the next book on my series is another one of the quite old series, and that is the Chronicles of Narnia. Now, I've already read the first 2 books, so I've read this one and The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, but I have not read the other 5 if I'm not mistaken, so I want to continue reading these in 2019. Continue where I left off in 2018. And seeing as these are quite thin middle grade books, these are very easy to read, and thus they should not be very problematic. I should be able to read these like in between bigger novels, so that's a really nice plus as well. Then the 4th book slash series on this list is the Heir Awakens series by Elise Kova. I read the Society, or the Wish Quartet I believe it's called, this year. Really liked it, so I have really high hopes for this. Again, I own all the books already, which is logical because otherwise it would not be on this list, but bear with me. And these are not too big. I really liked Elise Kova's writing style, so yeah, I think they should not be a problem either. The next series on this list is one that I only own, I think, the 2nd, 3rd and 4th book. I'm still missing the 1st, 5th and 6th, but that is Falling Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. This is one of those series that has been on my TBR for a long time. I've owned the books for quite some time, like most of these at least a year, more than a year. And there is no real reason that I have not read this, except for that I just keep reading other books first. Probably because it is a 6-book series, and that's kind of putting me off reading it a bit. And I tend to just binge read series when they're all published. And in this case, these are all published, so I can binge read them if I like them. I hope I like them. I think I like them. The next series on this list is the World Walker Trilogy by Josephine Angelini. I've read her Star-Crossed trilogy when I was younger, and I reread it like a couple of years back, I think. And I really, really liked that series. I mean, I liked it more when I was younger, but even now I just still have that reminiscent love for that series. And I just think the premise of this is really cool. I mean, World Walker, it's about a girl who can walk between worlds. And honestly, this has been on my TBR for like a specific month a couple of times, but I never read it. And again, there's no particular reason, because I am interested in all the books on this list, but somehow I just keep putting them off. And it's not because these are big or because it's a huge series. I mean, it's only 3 books. I think they're like 350-ish pages each, which is not a tremendous amount, but hey, maybe this year will be different. Then the next book slash series slash duology, I have no idea on this list, is The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. I've had this book on my shelves for at least a year, maybe even 2. I am not sure. I have been interested in this for a while. It looks amazing, the premise sounds amazing, the cover of the second book looks amazing, and I need to read this, and I think this is going to be one of the books that I'll read very early on in the new year. Because I'll be thinking about my January TBR in a bit as well, because I'm probably going to film that after this. And I think this might actually be in January or maybe February, but I think this and its sequel will probably be read very soon in the year. Then the next book on this list, duology so far, is The Faeries of Dreamdark, which consists of Blackbringer and Silksinger by Laini Taylor. I think these are the only books by Laini Taylor that I have not read. So, of course, things need to change. However, this is like an unfinished series of which everyone hopes she will finish at some point, but so far there are no real plans of finishing this. So it's unknown when she will finish this. But I hope it's soon, so I can continue reading this. The next trilogy on this list is Snow Like Ashes by Sarah Rush. Esmay's already read this, and she, especially liked the first book. She said the second and the third one were a bit less amazing, but I'm still really excited to see this. And in terms of reading books that are on my shelves, this has been on my shelf for a while, so I think this is definitely one that I need to get to this year. The next book on this list that was on my shelf is The Poppy War by R.F. Kong. You've heard me talk about this book more often. Its sequel is on my most anticipated releases of 2019 list, even though I have not read this yet. So that tells you exactly how excited I am for this book. I've heard some really, really great things about it, and that's why I just thought it could not be missed on this list. The next book on my list is The Bone Witch by Rinch Peko, and its sequel, which is The Heart Forger, and the third book, which is due to come out I believe in March, which is I believe The Shadow Glass. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I got this for my birthday in 2017. Why I remember that, I have no idea. But I did, so it's been on my shelves for over a year. My birthday is in October, so do the math. And I've just been super intrigued by this cover. I've heard things that the first book is okay, but especially the second one is amazing, so I have really high hopes for this. The next trilogy on this list is the Sling Trilogy by Kristen Cashore. This is one of the older series on this list. I have to admit, I don't know too much about it, but I saw Katrina from Little Book Owl. She talked about the second book in this series and how much she loved it. And since I have this on my shelf, I decided that I should probably give this a go. Then the next book on this list is another one that's been on my shelves and TBR for a while. But I have high hopes that I will actually read this year, since the next book's also coming out soon-ish. But that is Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. Again, no reason that I have not read this, except that I just keep putting other books first. When I saw the cover, I was immediately intrigued. When I read the synopsis, I was immediately intrigued. I have to admit that I don't really remember the synopsis right now. But if I was intrigued, there's a good chance that I'm still intrigued and interested. And with the new book coming out, which I think is the last one, or maybe not. Honestly, I have no clue. I could just be spewing nonsense in that sense. But still excited for this. The next book on this list is one that was not released too long ago. I think it was 26. Esmay's read it, Esmay's loved it, and I think she will challenge me to read it soon. and that is Scythe and its sequel Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. I'm a cover whore. It was totally a cover buy. At some point I read the premises. I found it interesting, that's all I remember, but seeing that Esmay loved it, I'm bound to love it as well, which is why it is on this list. The next book that is on this list is another one that Esmay really liked, and that is Royal Bastards by Andrew Schwartz. And its sequel, the third one, is due to come out this year. Esmay really liked it. I don't think this was actually like a favorite of hers, but she quite liked it. And again, this is one of the books that I think she might challenge me in the coming months as well. The next book on this list is another one of which the sequel is due to come out soon, and that is The Cuis Rising by Rebecca Ross. I believe this was included in a book box sometime earlier last year. Not entirely sure, but I remember seeing this cover and being so drawn to it. And I've heard really amazing things about this, and I got this, well, not too long ago. I really do feel the need to read this quite soon, so you will probably see this appear like in the first quarter of the year. The next series on this list is one that doesn't need a whole lot of introduction. It is a reread for me, but it is a continuation, as I've already read the first 4 books. But that is the Harry Potter series. I only have to read the 5th, 6th and 7th books in the series, and I hope to do that soon as well. And we've reached the second to last book on this list, and that one is This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. I've loved the Darker Shades of Magic trilogy. I really liked the City of Ghosts middle grade book that she released this year. I have really high hopes for this, and in addition to this, I didn't put it on the list, but I also want to read Vicious and Vengeful. And then the last book on this list is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. Her latest fantasy novel is due to come out in February, The Priory of the Orange Tree, which is featured on my most anticipated releases of 2019. Since then, I've become really intrigued with The Bone Season and its sequels, and I just really want to get started in this series as well. Those were, well, not all, but those were 19 books and series on my shelves that I want to read in 2019. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment what your books are that you want to read in 2019. Subscribe if you would like to, and hit the bell icon if you want to be notified every time we post. I am really looking forward to this reading year. I have a lot of high hopes for this, and I hope I will see you next time. Bye!